So we're now at the completion of the Castlemaine hybrid home. We're just going to walk through, give a good glimpse at those final little details, as well as sort of have a look now that the HRV system's been commissioned and turned and operating. So the HRV system, for those who aren't sort of aware, does take up a fair bit of cupboard space. This is basically the lungs of the home. It's bringing air in from outside, running it through a filter, putting it through a heat exchanger here, which is the air being extracted from inside the home at the moment. Sort of comes past, it's a lot warmer, and it heats that air that's coming in up to a temperature, generally within about 93% efficiency, and then distributes that through the home. So we don't rely on our heating devices that much here. We also, on this one, have an additional HEPA filter. So that just is here. Because the nature of these filters, they're quite pricey, we try to limit the use of them. So if there's, for example, a bit of bushfire smoke outside, we're able to just undo the little lugs here, the screws here, and drop our HEPA filter into that box when we need to. And that just goes in like this. And then we just tighten that up. And now we've got that ability to stop bushfire smoke and the particulars that have the actual odours being contained and not entering into the home. Generally, these filters that we see here and here, they're going to be able to stop things like pollen and dust and bugs from getting inside the home, as it is anyway. So from here, this then goes up and branches into the flexi duct, which we've shown in the previous episode, and continues through all of the bulkhead ducts to the fresh air supply. And on the rear, which we can't see, we actually have all the extracts, which we'll show in a second as well, coming in and then going out. One of the things that need to sort of discuss about the HRV system is the ability to flick an actuated switch. So it's important that when what you would traditionally have an exhaust fan, that when you wire up the switches, that it has a switch that basically it flicks on but automatically turns itself off. And what that does is engages the HRV system into what's known as boost mode, and that'll display on this device with a 3, and it increases the flow rate for approximately 30 minutes. And that's meant to basically help and assist with getting rid of humidity or condensation build up when you have a shower or when you're cooking as well from the stovetop. So it's a really excellent way to do that. If you are having a stew on the cooktop and it's going for a bit longer, you can just hit it again after the 30-minute cycle's finished and keep that operating. The ducts are insulated here for the intake extracts, just to limit condensation and also contain or not lose any of that energy or that heat transfer. And yeah, we'll just have a bit of a glimpse at some of the close-ups of the ducts, the bulkhead supplies, the extracts and the switch.
Hi guys, so I'm now standing in the kitchen of this home. As Anthony just touched on, we don't have exhaust fans installed in the bathroom and ensuite of this home, but we have installed a range hood above the induction cooktop, which I'll chat a little bit about the appliances in this home later. But the range hood looks pretty much as a traditional sort of range hood, just built within the cabinetry. The thing that is different about this range hood, it goes up through the filter and it goes into a carbon, also called a charcoal filter, which gets rid of any grease and oil that may be in the air. And then it's ducted on the other side of the wall to a wall grill, and then that gets sucked up in through the HRV that then, as Anthony explained, goes out through the extract system, in through the HRV and the core itself, and then outside the house. So chat a little bit about the appliances on this home. So induction cooktop, so this home is all electric, and we've also got electric oven here as well. So guys, I just wanted to chat to you about a few of the architectural details in this project. So we've got our fully polished slab The clients have selected a nice stone mix. It's quite nice with the white stone through it. There's a few sort of quartzy bits that actually, when the sun shines on them, it sort of glows sort of a nice purple colour. So that's a nice, pleasing sort of touch. But one thing we really want to do with this project is make sure we have smooth transitions. So as you've probably seen in the previous videos, that the slab where this wet area is, this is the powder room and ensuite, has actually been recessed in the slab when it's poured. We then poured a screed over it, waterproofed and tiled onto it. So now when we've got our finished tiles here, we've got a perfectly smooth, flush transition. Another few details with this project is the clients really wanted a nice sort of square edged feel throughout the home, really open sort of a feel. So we've got anodized aluminium skirting, so that's 100 mil by 2 mil thick. It's a sort of a bit of a compromise. There is some plastered sort of P50 details you can do there for that sort of look, but this one was sort of from a price point sort of in between that and standard timber skirting. We've got square set doors through this house. So on this project, we didn't install any architraves. And then as we go up, you can see up the top there, square set cornice throughout.
Hi, thanks for taking the time to come and have a look at the Hybrid Home course. It's been produced by Outlier Studio and we've been working on it for the last 18 months. Look, we cover all the topics that you're going to need to be able to upskill and learn a little bit more about how you can have a higher performing home. We look at energy efficient housing design in general, orientation, airtightness, insulation, ventilation, thermal bridging, glazing, and we do touch on cost a little bit too. Although, disclaimer, it's only at the current time of recording that we've been able to put those forward. You'll find everything from as-built verifications in which we have our own services and advice, helpful handouts that touch on all of the topics that we discussed that you can see on the left-hand side here in the video. We consider things in detail like how we go about recording our height for shading. We also do some demonstrations on how to achieve better results in a NatHERS assessment. You'll see what it looks like when we do our inspections and see the thermal bridging occurring, and you can also have a look at a previous presentation from Builders Declare that we did. We'll look at the importance of ventilated cavities and the right wraps and moisture control, as well as the ventilation systems. Thermal bridging is a big one that we touch on, and a step-by-step process of how to install a window. On top of that, you've got all these fantastic construction details you can use for projects yourselves and in your documentation. We look at all the best practices, high performance, and even airtight construction as well in these details. So please take the opportunity now to purchase the course. You will not regret.
So as I just touched on, the client really wanted a square, open feel throughout this home. So this lower level of the house, there's really no doors apart from this wet area, but there is actually a pocket concealed door that goes from the floor height all the way up to the ceiling. And again, that's all square set, very sort of minimal look, but it's quite, open, that it's no bulkhead above it. So to close this, as simple as pull across, with a good soft closing mechanism on it. And again, it looks like no door. So I just wanted to have a chat to you about the windows and doors that were installed in this project. So the windows and doors are from Ultimate Windows. They're UPVC, high performance, double glazed with low E glass coating. These doors here are what are known as a lift and slide. So once we're trying to make a home airtight, it's really important not to just use standard sliding doors that are on rollers, and yes, they may have a seal on it, but those seals or foam gaskets aren't enough for once you start talking to be an airtight home. So the whole idea is a lift and slide door is at the moment it's locked down, it's on a rubber gasket. To lift it up to move it, this handle here, you just crank down, slide the door as you normally do with a sliding door. And to close it, just crank that handle up again, and that just drops that rollers back on the gasket. So we're now at the hinge door of this home. So it's pretty much a standard hinge door. It does have 5 actual hinges on it to make sure we do create this home to be airtight. So it'd open up just standard, but hopefully you can see here, it's got about, once again, 5 different sort of locking mechanisms to ensure that this door does seal up with obviously rubber gaskets. to make it airtight. So to close it, once again, very simple, close it. But as you close it does have a slight little rock in it, so it's not 100% sealed up. And then to make it sealed, just crank the handle up a little bit and creates that airtight seal. So the windows in this home are what is known as tilt and turn windows. So here's the one in the kitchen. So that's locked now, and as simple as a quarter turn creates it to be a tilting option. So this option is really good for cross ventilation as it lets, very high volume of air through. And then the next function of it is another quarter turn, and that puts it in the tilt option of it. And this is really good for purging air out at night time on those hot summer nights. Really good for security purposes. One good little feature of this turn is that you can actually clean both sides of your windows without having to remove fly screens, which in Australia it can be a bit of an issue with standard windows.
So by pushing the open plan living space, which is behind me with all this beautiful glazing, back as far away from the rock face, which is in front or behind the camera right now, we created this beautiful little sheltered area. One of the issues that arises when elevating or working on this elevated site is the wind direction. It is a prevailing southwesterly, but now we're sheltered. We created this little courtyard where that wind doesn't impact, which those who have lived on a windy location can probably attest to, that it isn't always the most pleasant to be outside. So we've now got this beautiful little sheltered area, a little sanctuary in which we'll have deciduous vegetation growing over to the side here. And then we've also got our angled louvers, which we've touched on previously above me here, creating a bit of protection over that northern glazing as well. On the left, on my left or right of camera, is the swimming pool, and we'll have a little look at that as well in a moment. But now we've got this beautiful U shape that's essentially encapsulating this little courtyard with the deciduous vegetation here on our right, and also we have our tree and the planter here as well in front of us, with more to come.